Audio testing 1, 2. Are we up? Camera 1. Hi, camera 2. Let's talk about that in a minute. Are we ready? Testing 1, 2, 3. Monday. Hey. Something a little bit different today. This is going to be semi-experimental. Just hang on a minute here. I need to sharpen up first, and then we'll have a bit of a special stream here, if it works. If it works. Creative, let's see. I need a really good sharpen this morning. I need the knife to be just about as flat and as smooth as it could possibly be. Any idea why? How is the situation in brain surgery? Close to brain surgery. What the next best thing? How's the situation in Japan? We're all just sort of frozen, waiting to see what will happen. The governor asked the city over the weekend to show restraint and stay home and blah, blah, blah. Nothing legal, just simply, please take it easy, show restraint. Most people did. Last night there were a bunch of drunks out here again, a bunch of young people partying, but most people in the city, it seems, stayed home. But even having said that, the numbers, what are we saying, the infected numbers are still, of course, steadily rising. And the action you do today or this weekend won't show any numbers for a week or so, a few weeks or so. So with the numbers still rising, everybody's now waiting for the national government to drop the declaration of emergency, which will give the governors and stuff the ability to tell people to stay home. And those of us who haven't sense are just waiting for them to finally make their decision and do that. But Dave, be quiet for a minute, just get this knife properly shut. Okay, I think we have a pretty good edge on this, and we are going to need it this morning. So what kind of work have I been doing recently that would demand a perfect edge on the knife for today's carving? Not cat hair. David KP, are you close here? Not Chili, not Chrysanthemum, Vivid KP is here. Okay, warning, some of the images you're about to see may be a little bit adult in orientation. You guys are okay with this, right? Over the past couple of days with the shop shut down, with everything shut down, there's been nobody here. I've had the whole place to myself for the past 2 days. I'm thinking about how to use my time. And we've been, I was working on a print, then another print, then it gets pushed back because something else. I started working on the cats, pushed back something else. Dave is trying to work out how to use his time over the next few days, weeks, whatever. And instead of doing one project and everything else disappear, I've got to keep a number of things going on at the same time. While doing this 8 cats, I totally pushed the octopus away, even though it was 95% finished. So what I'm going to do, at least for the next few days, work a little bit on the octopus, a little bit on the cats, a little bit on Cameron's video, a little bit on stuff for this, a little bit on this, bit by bit by bit. So I spent the last 2 days pulling out the octopus blocks and basically finishing them off. I cleaned up the hammering work around the lettering, and we have a test print. The test print I didn't do just now. The test print was done some time ago. But when I did the test print, we talked about this when I did it, I learned that I had, what's the nice word for this? Screwed up, Screwed up the hair. The hair on this block, the hair on this print is 2 blocks. The woman's hair is 2 blocks. It's a light grey under hair and then a dark grey over hair. And to get the effect of the sweeten of her hair, what you do is the underlying grey goes under everything and the black has slots cut out of it to give, highlights. When I did mine, it turned out that I got over eager in drawing it. I drew it on the iPad that time, and I cut my slots way too wide. And it doesn't give the agreement of highlights when it looks like white hair. And also this, I cut way too much space. Those slots were sliced out way too much. The hair itself at the edge was beautiful, but I cut the slots too wide. And I didn't realize it until I got this first test print done. So what do? I can't patch that block in those places, so cut and run, get another piece of wood ready, and cut the hair all over again. So over the weekend I did that. I printed that block, pasted it down, and I spent the last, yesterday afternoon actually, cutting out the slots again at much less, cutting less wood away to leave more black. But I didn't get it finished last night. Well, I saved it for this morning. The hairlines are going to have to be cut again. They're going to have to be cut again. So that's going to be this morning's job. We're going to do ukiyo-e hair cutting. And I can't really watch too much of the stream here and the conversation because this is going to require a fair amount of concentration. So let me get this set up. What I've done, I've got the camera that's normally outside is now poised over the workbench here, ready to get close. Let's see. So I'm just going to keep quiet for a while. You just watch. Let me try. It's going to take a few minutes to get the cameras set up. And then we'll just get started. I'll talk to you about what's going on once it's started. You can see we have another camera waiting to come into action here, and it is close. That's going to be our distant camera. And then in front of it, we have this. Is that close enough for you? But you can already guess what's going to happen. We are going to have trouble with focus. And it's going to be really hard for me to concentrate on this and get the work done. Okay, before we start, you can see what's happening up here. I recut those grooves, and as you can see, look at this. See the white that's left? That's the part that I cut too far on the previous block. The thing I'm carving here, I just printed it from the previous block. So the new cuttings on here are way narrower than the ones on the previous block. I don't know why, I was thinking it was just tamari or something. Anyway, so that's the corrected mistake. And now we have to cut the hair all over again. But as I said, I'm probably almost certainly going to have trouble with focus on here. But I don't have anybody here to help me with it. It would have been nice if Cameron had been here. Also, this is embarrassing now. Look at this. What you're seeing here, these hairs, these are the printouts of the previous hair that I carved, what was it, a year ago or so. And you can see, look at that fat hair, look at that. Right next to it's a crooked one, then another crooked one. This is embarrassing. There's the one that's fat, you know. What can I say? This is where I was at. When you look at them in the print, of course it looks fabulous, but when you see it close up like this, I'm not so sure about this idea about having close-up cameras. It's embarrassing. So now what I've got to do is carve over this one, fixing the errors and not introducing too many more. Okay, let's go. Okay, a little bit of a tiny lecture part of this. Cutting hairs like this, we've talked about this before, but I guess lots of people haven't seen it before. It's a 5-step process. There are 5, it's sort of step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And step 1 always with cutting these hairs is you scribe a line slightly outside of where you want the hair to end. So we can stay in focus on it. We scribe a line slightly outside of where the hairs are going to end. Angling it as you see. Get that stuff later. We scribe it, but we don't cut away the waste wood. We need it for support of the knife in the next step. That's step 1. Step 2, we'll talk through this before we start. We'll just talk through it. Step 2 will be cutting every hair one side straight out along the length of it. So it'll be every hair, right through to the end. That's step 2. Step 3 will then be to cut the other side of all those hairs. The first part's been cut. Step 3 will be to cut the other side out, all the way. And that will leave the basic triangles of hair. The hairs at that point will be flat. They will be sort of the right shape, but they won't be tapered too finely. That's step 1, step 2, step 3. Step 4 will be to run back down the same place that step 1 was, but gently angle over the knife to bevel the front. And step 5 will be a repeat of step 3, again beveling the knife. Let's just get this a try. Focus. We're going to be chasing focus all the time here, you know. zoom focus. No, the power tools, it's the people next door. They've started their construction. The men who are working on the front of the building next door. You say elevate it, point more downward. The camera is just sitting on the table. There's no tripod that works this way. I've got my smallest possible tripod and the camera is too far away. When you're working close like this with the camera, you can't use the zoom. If you try and zoom, it just gets worse. So you've got to work at the almost the farthest out period. I tried it, pointing up, looking at, we can try it, but I don't know, it's just going to be a mess here. Let's see. If I elevate it. We're just going to get the same view as the other camera. Oops. Now I need some tape. We need camera in here. I should have saved this for a day when Cameron was here. No, they just won't go any closer. That's it. They just will not go any closer. Now the other camera's focused on this thing. You just get the same view from both cameras, no big deal. It's the same thing, sure. Well, let's try it here. It's just the same view twice. Settle down, I gotta do this carefully. Okay, instead of going through the whole thing, let's do this bit by bit then. We've done cut 1 and cut 2 for about 10 hairs. Let's do cut 3 for that same group of 10 hairs. This is why we left the waste wood here, so that at this point the knife has support. If we've done it correctly, a little tiny triangle should now pop out, leaving the first hair. I think really, if we just go back to the first camera, this second one is just not going to focus on it. As soon as my fingers get in there. At least with this one, you can see what's going on. And my fingers have to be there. There's no way around it. My finger has to be there. And they won't lock. You know, if I could turn it on to manual focus, that would be fine, but they won't let me do that. So here, let's just get this out of the way. If cameraman, here goes my cam stand. If camera was here, we'd give it a try, but he's not, so. Give him a normal work here. You can see what's going on, it's okay. Let's go, let's settle down, Dave, settle down, and let's do this thing, okay? At least you can see what's going on, you can see how it works. The camera I had years ago was a Canon camera. I did some video like this. In fact, it's in the Ito Susumu video. There's some shots of really super close-up, and that was done with a locked focus camera, and it was positioned on a stand above the bench upside down. That was the only way I could get it close onto my bench. Okay, this is much smoother work. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3. This is the basic shapes of the hairs now. We have a bunch of triangles. But if we printed this now, they would all look really stark. They would end at a little bit differing shapes and sizes. They would be too stark. What we've got to do now is we've got to roll the top of them, the top end of the hair. The end of the hair here has to be rolled down. We do that by repeating steps 2 and 3, but instead of just bringing the knife straight out to the end again, as I bring it down, I'm going to tip it over, like exaggerate. I'm going to tip over the knife this way. So it rolls like this. Look at it, it's peeling off, do you see it? It's peeling off a tiny bit at the end of the hair. That's 4, and now for 5 we do the same thing, the other way around. Repeating step 3, but with an angling bevel. It's gone already. I didn't mention, I guess this is a piece of boxwood. I'm using boxwood for this. And then we have the first 10 hairs. A tiny bit of garbage still. Okay. And you can't see it from where you're at, but if I run my finger up them now, I can feel they go up a ramp. The front end of each hair is now beveled down. There's no way to see it. Just move it in closer. Yeah, that's the procedure. Let me just get busy with continuing now. So ignore everybody. guess I should do them batch by batch. Tell you what I'll do. What's the time now? We've already used up half our time or something. So there's no way I'm going to get to the end of this. So what we'll do, let's do this. I'll just keep going today on what I can do on this. Maybe it'll end up getting this far. There's more to do. No promises here, but let me try and figure out how to get a fixed focus on that other camera. If I can figure that out before, what's today, Monday? I'll put this work aside. I'll work on Catch or something for the next couple of days, or Cameron's video. And I'll save this next bit, and I will try, no promises here, please, I will try to see if I can figure out how to fix the focus on one of those cameras and tape it to the bench or something. So when we do the next part on the next stream Thursday, maybe we can try and get a better shot of this. No promises, let me try. In fact, what might help is this. The camera that we've been using, the other camera, if I give you the model number, look up the thing online or something. It's a Sony. It says optical steady shot. I can't find a model number. It's a Sony Handy. There it is. HDR CX500. Cameron, you can work on this too. Look up the manual online. See if you can find some way that this thing will lock focus. HDR CX500. John is saying, look, get it to the side of the scope. There's no room here, John. There's just no way. The scope itself is massive here. Anyway, let me get back to this. This is no way to work the most detailed job you're supposed to be doing with 6,000 distractions. Just let me try and get back to this. There's that fat hair. The next we've done 11 or 12, so the 1, 2, the third one here is really, really fat. See if I can try and fix it as we go. Hee 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 hee. Another thing about these hairs too, which they curve in a different way. The ones we're doing right now are curved, to exaggerate, they're curved this way. Then as you move across, there's a middle point here. This one's about straight. Then from here, they curve the other way. It's the shape of her face, you know. It's visible here. Look at these. These are really curved in one direction. Up to a peak, then they curve the other direction. That's really, it's difficult when you're doing one by one to try and catch the shape of that curve. And let's switch now the other way around. Too fat. There's your fat one. Trim it down. It's still too fat though. Not anymore. That one's a bit too short, I think now. Before I met the Ito-san, the carver, I'd been, of course I've been making reproductions of Ukuri prints and carving hair. I'd carved them in this way, right now, step 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And the lengths were ragged, the widths were ragged. It was, how do you get them all to be exactly the same length or near enough? How do you get them to look right? Just having watched him once that day, was enough. Just you got to watch somebody once. That's why I'm so glad to be able to doing these streams. I don't know who out there is watching or what information they will find useful sometime. I don't really know. But, just to get information of some kind out there. Looking nice, looking good. Feels nice too. There's a round pop each one. It feels really nice. So far, so good. When it comes time to test printing, we'll see, I don't know if you can see, I can't even see from here. When it comes time to test printing, at some point you might see this one, for example, this one, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, might be a bit longer than the other ones nearby. Not quite sure. We don't want them all, exactly the same length. It would look strange. We want a little bit of variation, natural variation, but too much will be strange. If they're too short, we're out of luck. If it's too long, I can shave them back. I'm thinking this one might be a bit too long, but I'll leave it for test printing. How do they look from where you are? You can see that little bit of variation, right? There's a natural sort of flow to it. Looking good. I wish we could get closer, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's only one video on this, I'm sorry. Our own YouTube channel is so important to us. We really didn't want to make any chance of YouTube marking our channel as being unsafe or dangerous or porn or no good for people or kids to watch. So I kept the video that I did make separate, and I really haven't done more videos because the Google YouTube system knows who you are and knows what channels you are. So I held back. I really did not want to put too many more videos up there because our own YouTube channel is so important to us. So yeah, there isn't much video out there on doing this, but can't be helped. Okay, let's continue. You can see what's going on here. Looking good. Now we got to get around this corner. The really fine hairs get worn down from printing fast. Don't really know. None of the prints we've made so far with this kind of delicacy of hair have been printed so many times. In my own Mystique of the Japanese Print, number 15 in that series, is the one I did on that video before. And it's way more delicate than this, but we've only printed about 300 copies so far. So there's nowhere near they are anywhere near getting worn down. Because normally thousands and thousands go around if you're careful. So yeah, they would wear down at some point, but we're nowhere near it yet. Okay, let's keep going. Looking good so far, even with all these distractions. Look at that, looking nice. There's so much variation. Can I fix the variation, or should I just let the knife do what it wants to do here? We also need to touch up the sharpening, not quite yet, but after another, say, group of 10, we'll need to touch up the knife a bit. This one's crooked. This first stroke is actually the easiest one of the group. It's just pretty much, it's not straight, but it's straight down the hair. And me as a carver working here have it a little bit easier than the carvers in the old days. But what I'm making here is a reproduction of another print. So when I prepared the tracing for this, I had already in front of me a woodblock print that had been made, back in 1814, this print? I forget the exact date. So I was reproducing something that had already been carved once. But remember, the first carver who does any given design doesn't have that to work with, because the artists don't draw these hairs one by one by one by one by one. They can't at the scale these things are done. You can't draw with a brush something this delicate. The work I'm doing from this is done in Photoshop. But the original carver has just the artist's sketch, and the sketch just has a grey blur, and maybe with one or two, every 10th hair or so is there. If we do this again on Thursday, I'll remember. Somebody drop me an email. Cameron said, drop me an email to remind me, and I'll get an image ready that shows you what the original carvers had to work from. And it wasn't 1 hair, 2 hairs, 3 hairs, 4 hairs, 5 hairs. It was a grey blur that said carve hair here. And there were 1 or every 10th hair that would just show the general curve and the general shape that they were looking for. So the original carver made it up as he went along. He would just have a grey blur here. So he would just carve hairs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and away he would go. So it's in one sense easier for him. He didn't have to copy exactly what he's seeing. It was a bit more freestyle, freehand. But in one sense it's more difficult. You've got to know what you're doing. You've got to keep control of this thing. If you make them too fat or too thin in the wrong direction, it would look strange. But all the subsequent carvers, Ito-san, the guy I learned from, he never carved freehand a bunch of hairs in his life because he never did an original print. He was just doing reproductions. This is the difficult cut, the second cut, well, third in that set of 5, because this is the one that determines the thickness and overall shape of the hair. And you're cutting sort of backhand, as it were. You can't see the front end of the knife. I can see, look, thick, thick, thin. I'm an amateur at this, man, an amateur. Oops. Way too thick on that side. Nice one. We need a scorecard, 1 out of 10 on each one of these hairs. That was a 7, that was a 10, that was a 1. Oh, that was a good one, actually. Let's not talk about that now. Right on the edge of that one. Okay. Nice wood though, this boxwood. Don't think it's nice, you know. I've had such crap cherry wood for the past little while. It's really, really nice to get back to some boxwood again. When Dave dies, if he's been a good boy and he goes to heaven, you know, there's going to be just fields and fields of giant boxwood trees waiting for me. we looking from where you sit? Looking good. Look at this. I'm happy with this. It's been ages since I've done this, you know, a year, a couple of years already. Looking good. The proof will be the printing, but how am I placing the paper when printing this? Yes, the registration marks are normal. It turns out that in this print, this is the printer's view of it, that's the back side. This is the registration mark here. So her head is actually in the registration corner. So this was a lucky one for me. So we'll be printing this little block. This little block has the corner registration mark and the side registration mark. And it just worked out for me perfectly. It could have been the other way around. Her head could have been up on the other end of the print, in which case we'd have had to make either a larger piece of wood or off the block registration or something. But this will print exactly, totally normally. But that's just luck. See a bunch of garbage here at the end of this thing. These pieces are all there, way below printing level. This is in the bottom of the groove there. Okay, moving along. What's the time? Maybe an hour. Okay, so it looks like that's what's going to happen here. We'll get to the edge here or something. And then Thursday we'll do this one. And I will do what I can to try and figure out a camera, fixed focus camera. Although no promises. No promises, no promises. I'm not going to go out and buy another camera just for this. Now another thing is happening here too, these hairs, they're getting longer. Down here we had, from here to here, was the active length of the hair than the bevel part. And here now it's getting longer and longer and longer. And the longer these things get, the more difficult it is. Not so much stroke number 1 here, but the back side, stroke number 2. difficult when you're longer, way more difficult. To get the right curve all the way down. This is still a curve this way, and yet end at the right place. If you saw these microscopically, you'd be disappointed. Well, whatever, this is what this work is. If we wanted it perfection, we could have the robots do this, but still, you want to try and get it nice, but this is difficult. No play-by-play on those. Too embarrassing. Another thing to think about too is now we're getting closer. This will be the last block on the Octopus print, so it's really time to get to thinking about printing it and getting it like out into the world. I'll be doing test printing on it myself, I guess, to sort it out, figure out what to do, and then we'll be turning it over to the staff. But given the current situation, I'm not quite sure how we'll be doing that. And I'm also not quite sure what paper to use. We talked about this in an earlier stream when I printed some samples on our normal Hosho paper. They were too clean and bright and sharp. I just didn't have the right mood for an old sort of tattered book page like this. So I'm not quite sure what kind of paper we'll be printing it on and how cleanly and sharply to print it. That test print I'm waving in front of you a minute ago, this was just printed on a scrap of stuff that I had. It's thin, it's crumpled, but yet it looks really nice. It looks natural. But it doesn't look clean and sharp and new and nice, So I don't know. We might be... One idea, it sounds a bit silly, we might print it on Gumpy, some of the new Gumpy we've got, The old books originally, they were just printed on a terrible, terrible, cheap junk paper full of cheating and holes. The books themselves, the original book this came from, it was just a piece of junk. Okay, now you can see, look at this. Here's where I'm losing here. Tonight the first group, second group, but now hitting the third group. Well, we've gone around a corner, but you can see already. See the highlights in the light, how different they are? Which one? Somewhere here. That one. I can't see anything obviously strange from this one. We'll print it first before we start fooling around here. You can tell by the shadows, there's clearly not as smooth as the first group. Right? Look at this. Up here. The shadows are different. Anyway, let's keep on. Total box are already done. Everything's done. Yep. I'd use the thicker copy. I mean, the super thin stuff wouldn't be very good. It wouldn't actually print well with body. Remember, this is a color print. The paper has to have enough body to take the color pigments. So I'm not really quite sure. We'll experiment. But the whole show we use is too thick and luscious. It's just the wrong kind of paper for this kind of image and this kind of print. Okay, now, something else. I'm coming up here. At some point we're going to get in trouble because we're going to bump into this next group here. So I'm going to cut this line first. The line that defines the edge of the next group of hair. Group of hairs. I'm going to cut that. And this group here, these shorties, these are going to be tough because they have to come in and my knife has no freedom to run off the end of the hair. These are going to be tough. Touch the blade, sharpening too. Hang on one second. We don't need a full difficult sharpening, but we're going to touch up the blade. The shape is totally okay. The edge is still there. It's just the very edge of the thing. The back side. And then take off the very edge. We know what to do. We've done this before. 1 or 2 strokes at the back. Trying to find the light where it reflects. There you are. See at the tip there? There's a little bit of a bevel on the back of the tip. You can see, there it is, right there. That's a bevel on the back, that little flash of light that's there. Well, asking about sharpening, Manny, what about sharpening? I did it. Well, before, okay. Hey. Oh, nice. Think about this though, it's much more slippery. It slides much easier, It's much more dangerous to go the wrong way. Right here, Kochong is where we left that piece of wood. If I'd taken this wood away, as I get to that line, it would fall off and much more danger of breaking the knife. We need the support for the knife at that point. This is okay, knife is supported, but if it fell off the end here, it would go pa-chunk, drop into that hole. So it needs that support. Here, that's the last stroke I can make clear. Let's clean this group first then. That was nice. Something else too, I don't know if I mentioned it before, this next one here, look at the angle of the knife. There's the flat blade itself. So rather than cutting it like this, right up on the tip of the blade, this would be impossible to cut this here because so little metal is in the wood, the blade would wander. But if I keep it this way, there's a huge amount of metal in the wood at any given one time, making it difficult to turn corners. So I put it completely flat, we'd never be able to get the curve, but I've got it up a little bit, and there's 2 or 3 millimeters of metal in the wood I can still curve. I never figured that out by myself, It just took such a long time. I thought I was so smart at it, I'm doing this all by myself. But some obvious stuff I just overlooked completely. Looking good, looking good. Big curve missing there. Nice group, I think. Nice one. Does it look okay? Look okay. We've got a tiny bit of something going on down here. Not sure, it might be short hair there. Now this looks a little bit too straight here. I think what we're seeing, yeah. These are the areas here that are below, these are below sea level. That is too long there. Feels good. The finger runs up smoothly into this. Now this next group is tough. What's our time? Yeah, perfect, good to go. We'll do this next group now, then. We'll save these then. We'll save this next group for Thursday. And I will try, if I can, to get some kind of steadier camera working on this. That one's short, it got shortened last time I did this. This is a tough song, so let's try and make it a bit longer this time. Once I'm off the stream here, I've got called Cameron Sand. It's Monday morning, he's been off for the weekend, and we've got lots of things to talk about this morning. Number one thing in our mind right now is these subscriptions. The subscription system we've got works monthly. So the first of each month is the billing day for most subscribers. We have the April prints ready. They're all ready now. I've checked them all. They've been printed. They're packed in OME, ready to go. But do we actually continue with our subscription system? Because post offices all over the world now are staggering and delaying things. And even the Japanese post office. So far, I spoke to them on Friday. I haven't checked yet this morning. Last time I spoke on Friday, they said there were no holds. They weren't shipping to Mongolia or something, but they were shipping to European countries and the US. But the US now, obviously, this is changing day by day. Europe changing day by day. Is it worth now billing a bunch of people for subscription prints, collecting the money, putting the prints into that giant global postal system, and assuming they're going to get there? I have no idea. He's not going to make a decision on this before Wednesday, whether to put the subscription thing to sleep for the duration of this crisis, or whether to try and push through. And there's going to be lots of people saying, it's okay, my local post office is delivering, let's go for it. But to put a couple hundred prints into the post, and will the people ever get them, or will we ever see them again? I mean, it's a month's work for our printers. And if I collect the money for them, then just throw these things into that vast sea of the postal systems. So I don't know what to do. We've got 2 more days before we make a decision. But I honestly do not have a clue about how to handle this, what to do. Shutting it down means that's it. Our income then goes completely zero. The shop is closed, of course, now. Online sales, that last campaign last week worked really well, but online is the same position as the subscriptions. Can we honestly throw things into the postal system with any expectation that they will get there? The large packages, things from the online sales, they have tracking, but the subscription prints go first class mail, which is less expensive, but it has no tracking. And to dump 200 prints into the post office at this point with no tracking. But as I said, if we shut it down, that's it. Our income is now officially zero. We can survive for some months as we chew through our savings, of course, same as everybody. But that would then put us on a deadline. And, we just watch the bank account dropping until it's time to say, hang it all up. Give the key back to the landlady, everybody goes home. Easy to say for me, not so easy for Cameron. Having a new baby next week. So we have some real tough decisions to make next few days. This one happens to be really easy for a left-hander. Look at this. I just come down here and click, it goes to the end. So for a left-handed person, this one's really easy. You win some, you lose some. I think that little batch came out very nicely. Now we've got to make sure there's a space against that hair. So let's pull the hair. Okay, I am pretty happy with this work, even with all the distractions. I am pretty happy with this. That's turned out. But one hair there looks a bit too... That one, I think that's the below the visible level. I think let's take it off there. I think we're okay. Looking good, looking good. That's a nice morning's work. They're not perfect. In fact, you can see right from where you are to show. We've got a shorty, where is it? Somewhere here, that transition. Again, I'm not quite sure because what we've seen here and what we're going to see when we print might be two different things. This looks like two short ones next to a long one. Now they're okay because the hair itself is alright. It's what you're seeing down there. That's the tip, which is way below this area is below the carving area. We're okay, we're okay, we're okay. Yeah, the postal service is running okay, place by place. Some places are absolutely shut down. Some international mail is not running because there's no planes anymore, because the planes that carry people are gone. They've switched to cargo. So that's one problem. The international cargo mail is staggering. Then city by city, the local delivery is staggering. And with no tracking on these things, I don't know. And then the other factor, did you see the thing in America over the last week? More than 3 million people applied for employment insurance. Some of those are our subscribers, and they will of course not want to be doing this. And I'm not in any problem with this. When we send out this letter tomorrow or whenever it is, we will say, please, if you can't continue, let us know. Of course, we're into there's no contract here. We're not going to demand everybody pay up, send you buy your prints. Of course not. So there's going to be quite a number of people who clearly are not able to continue right now. And of course, we are 100% understanding of this. But our question is, what kind of letter do we send out? Saying, here's your invoice, pay it, we'll send the prints. Or you tell me what you want to do. Stop here, pause here, continue, give it a chance, put 2 or 3 months together, then in that case we can have tracking. I don't know. I shouldn't be complaining because, you know, people are dying. It's no big deal. This is nothing compared to what's happening to a lot of people. But it is a concern for us. Okay, what is it? It's 9:30. Look at that. Very nice. Okay. So, as I said, I won't do this next couple of days. I will do other work. Cameron's going to got video work for me to do. We might even have a YouTube up within a few days. Who knows? No idea. I will save this for Thursday, and I will try, no guarantees, I will try to get a fixed focus camera so we can get an even close-up, more close-up view. Make it even more embarrassing for me, because that part is tough. It curves one way and curves back the other way. We'll see how it goes. Thanks for hanging around, people. I'll read carefully. There may be some advice and stuff about the focusing, whatever, on this. I'll see you on Thursday. What do you do? Stay healthy, please. I haven't been out that front door now in 2 days, so I've got enough food here for a week or so. If it gets closer, I'll just get on Amazon and order some more. And I'm making muffins again, just like I used to. Muffins for lunch every day. I'm gonna have fun with this. See you Thursday morning, guys. Thanks very much. No outside camera, no hot mic today. We'll just sign off. See you on Thursday. Stay tight.